Yeah, Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. For today, we will be presenting for the subject of Pengatar Teknologi Maklumat. The code of subject is LLB10403. And the name below is our lecturer, which is Prof. Madia Dr. Nazli bin Ismail Alliance Awam. Okay, before we further ado, let us begin by introducing our members. So the first one is Nick Aisha Farhana binti Nick Hassin. And the second one is Wan Fatiha binti Wan Azhari. And the third one is Herliga Mashar binti Kamazafa. And the last one is Mashita binti Mustafa. Okay. So this is the title that we choose for our presentation slide, which is the movie review of Divergent. And for those who gained this slide, please do click on the trailer link below. Okay, moving on to where's Aisha.
So the first one is I'll be talking about a little bit briefing on the overview of the table of content for our presentation today. So the first one is the plot summary for the first part, and then the second part as well. And moving on to the main characters, themes, settings, symbolism and motifs, cinematography and visual style, and reception and impact, and also, but last but not least, the conclusion itself. So Divergent. So what do we know about Divergent? So the first one that I can tell that Divergent is a movie that tells a story where people are divided by 5 different factions, and they must go through an aptitude test when they have reached an age limit in which they have to decide which faction they belongs to. So as we can see here on the slide, I have included the picture where Tris had gone through her aptitude test, where she found out that she is different, making her a divergent. And the jayab that I put here is when Tris and also Tobias Eaton, or also known as Ford, the instructor of Dauntless, they are practicing her first trial to become a real Dauntless. So this movie basically tells Tris' struggle with her divergence and the impending threat from the erudite faction. Okay, so moving on to the next point, I pass to the next members.
Okay, so for the plot summary, the climax of Veronica Roth's Divergent, Tris Pierce and her friend rebel against the Erudite faction led by Janine Matthews. Erudite plans to overthrow abdication using mind control down the soldiers. Tris and her allies infiltrate Erudite headquarters to destroy the mind control serum and stop the coup. This intense battle tests their courage and loyalty as they strive to prevent the massacre of abdication and save their society. Okay, next, in the resolution of Divergent, Tris destroys the mind control serum, freeing the dauntless soldiers and preventing the massacre of abnegation. In the aftermath, the city's faction system is thrown into chaos, and Tris and her allies must navigate the new reality and push for change in their society. Okay, next.
I will talk about main characters. The first one is Sharon Woodley. She played as Beatrice Trish Pryor. Her faction is originally abnegation, but she chose Dauntless. She is the protagonist of the story. Despite her upbringing, she chose Dauntless, the faction that dedicated to the bravery and courage. The next one is Theo James, played as Tobias for Eaton. Her faction is Dauntless. He is a Dauntless instructor and a key figure in Trish journey. He has a character which is mischievous and intimidating demeanor. The third one is Kate Winslet, played as Janine Matthews. Her faction is erudite. She is the antagonist of the film, and she believes that the divergent threaten the stability of their society. Next one is Ansel Elgort, played as Caleb Pryor. His faction is originally abdication, but he chose erudite. He is a Trish brother, and he joins erudite as he attracted by the emphasis on knowledge and learning. Lastly, Miles Taylor, he played as Peter Hayes. His faction is originally candid, but he chose Dauntless. He is an antagonist within the Dauntless initiation process. He sees Trish as a threat to his standing in Dauntless. Next, the themes. The first theme is identity and self-discovery. The faction system and identity. The society in Divergent divides people into factions based on features. Next, the conformity. With the existence of this faction system, it shows strict enforcement and determine the way an individual should think, act, and live according to their own faction. Next, fear and courage. They use fear landscape to test initiates bravery by forcing them to confront their deepest fears. The physical bravery is a core value of the Dauntless faction. The last one is the sacrifice and selflessness. Trish' desire involve big personal sacrifice where she leave her family and group to sacrifice her life for the others.
Thank you so much, Juan. So I will be explaining the next slide, which the settings and also the 5 different factions that exist in this movie. So the settings. The settings mainly focuses on Chicago, which is a city in US that have gone an aftermath of a war. So the city is in a disorientated condition. So the 5 different faction here, the first one is abnegation. So what is abnegation? Abnegation is where the society are the selfless. They help people who are factionless, which means that the factionless are the people who do not belong in any factions that exist in the city. And the next one is dauntless, the fearless society. So the people in this faction basically mostly are soldiers and also police who works as the people who are going to protect the city from the outside danger that they believe that the outside of the fence are dangerous. And the next one is the Amity faction. So what I see from the movie is the Amity faction are the peaceful faction, whereas the people in this faction are the one who supply the foods to the other people in other different factions. And the fourth one is the erudite, who believes they are the intelligent faction in this city. So basically, erudite, from what one just said just now, erudite is led by Janine Matthews as the leader of the faction. And the last one is candor, the honest. So whenever we talk about honesty and truth, we often think of the lawyers. Yes. So basically, the candor faction mostly belongs to the people who works as lawyers. And moving on to the next slide.
Okay, next, I'm going to talk about the symbolism and motif. Okay, in Divergent, tattoos representation of identity and personal belief. Okay, the next is the aptitude test. This symbolizes the rigid control of the faction system individually. Okay, for the last one is the fence, symbolize of both freedom and restriction. Next.
Okay, now moving on to my slide, which is the cinematography and visual style. Next slide, please. So under the cinematography, there is a 3 main component, which is dystopian aesthetic, dynamic camera movement, and lighting. As for dystopian aesthetic, the usage of the saturated color palette being used in this movie often uses the cool tones to emphasize the bleak and controlled environment of the dystopian Chicago setting. This helps to establish the oppressive atmosphere of the society in which the story takes place. Next is the dynamic camera movement, which is including sweeping shots, striking shots, and crane shots to help the action sequence create sense of urgency and immersions. The final cinematography is lighting, which is plays important role in creating character more alive. For example, Trees that played by Shailene Woodley that being connected with the audience deeply due to the intimate lighting that being used during the movie. Moving on towards the visual effects. The first one is atmospheric effects, which is such as lightning, fog, and smoke being used in this movie, created by the machines. These effects being created as it is to add mood or tone of various scenes. The second one is the futuristic technology, which is include a lot of futuristic technology that being imagined by the creator itself, such as serum injectors and simulations and more. The third one is the action scenes, which is there are a lot of actions, including zip lining scenes that being affected by heavily rely on the CGI to make these stunts look realistic as possible. Okay, moving on towards the next person.
Okay, next I'm gonna talk about the reception and impact. Divergent received mixed to positive reviews. Critics praised its fast-paced plot and strong characters, but note its similarities to other dystopian novels. Okay, audience, especially young adults, enjoy the engaging story and relatable protagonist. Its popularity led to a successful film adaptation and cemented its place in the young adults dystopian genre. Okay, Divergent film series also saw significant box office success, with the first film grossing over 288 million worldwide. This success led to sequels, but diminishing returns eventually caused the cancellation of the final movie. Despite this, the franchise remained influential in the young adult dystopian genre. Okay, also the Divergent series had a substantial cultural impact, influencing popular culture and the young adult dystopian genre. It inspired similar books and films. Okay, also sparked discussion on societal roles and individuality, and highlight strong female protagonists in literature and media. Next.
So in conclusion, The Divergent was an interesting film that made me thinking about identity and discovery. The movie portrays that society divided into factions based on personality. Qualities made me reflect on how frequently we attempt to fit into any existing positions in our life. For me, I was really impressed by Trish Cheney as she sought to find her place in a world that enforced conformity. Her bravery in accepting her divergence and standing up to an unjust system impressed me. Also, although the visual illustration and action scenes were engaging, but the underlying message of the value of originality and the determination of Trish really hit me. Overall, the Divergent movie was not only a fun film, but also a compelling lesson to embrace my own individuality and appreciate the diversity that make each of us different. So that's all from us. Thank you, Prof.